Hello, hello, hello. Hooligan Soccer podcast, as always, coming at you for this slightly belated Friday, not the usual Thursday recording day. Had some busy days with myself, Gary Stryker, and as always, the Qooligan. Good morning, Qooligan. How are you?
Icebound Gary Stryker? You're part of that.
Ice inbound.
You are part of that. You're living in that part of the United States that is currently being pummeled by a particularly nasty winter storm.
So there is an Arctic storm that is due to hit tomorrow morning onwards, and then it's just going to get progressively worse. We've got a 100% chance of snow on Saturday and a 95% chance of snow on Sunday. So,
chance of snow. Look at that.
Yeah, wow. Texas. Yeah, it's always reminds me of I think it was Ted Cruz once. I don't know if this is doctored or not, but even if it doesn't, it's still quite funny. Which is, I will believe in global warming the day Texas freezes over, and it seems so. We seem to have these regular freezes now. So yeah,
I think that's happened a couple of times, right?
It's 21, 22, 23 have all been pretty bad. 25 was
but
okay.
But then again, Ted Cruz would never know because he always leaves Texas whenever it gets cold.
He goes to the Caribbean, doesn't he? Yes, exactly. Yeah. So well, Ted,
right.
enjoy a pina colada for us.
Right.
Anyway, Qooligan, we are obviously covering this weekend's Premier League fixtures as well. And then obviously, and then we want to touch on as well some of the Champions League stuff as well, because that was quite a spicy game week as well.
I'm just gonna give it a little bit of love to the Champions League, which is once again living up to its sterling reputation.
It is indeed. Well, as always, guys, hooligan-soccer.com is where you can find all the writings, musings, insights from the Qooligan, sometimes myself, and also our wonderful growing stable of contributors, writers, creators, and fans. So yeah, hooligan-soccer.com, like, follow, subscribe, all of those things, and let's get into it, Qooligan. So why don't we start just at the top, just a sort of brief Champions League overview. We've gone through 7 match weeks. The final match week officially of the first batch in the new format, it comes on next Wednesday. We have a Super Wednesday where all of the games are going to be played at the same time on Wednesday. We will do a dedicated show for that on Monday. Yep. The Golazo show is going to be nuts. I think they fly Nico Cantor out to the UK studio and they sort of cross-pollinate the two shows, which is going to be interesting and exciting as always.
Yeah, the faces on the regular 3 on Jamie, Micah, and
Thierry, right? Yeah.
And Thierry, you can tell they're just not used to Nico's energy. They're frequently just like there are visible looks of aghastness. It's not bad, but it is definitely different for them.
Well,
to you know.
Well, especially with the Micah Richards and Jamie Carragher high energy as well. I think they're kind of matched and even possibly beaten as well for the high octane.
Poor Thierry. Usually when he gets added into the rostrum, he actually ends up getting stuck between them, and you can tell he's just like, my God, now I've got it on both sides.
Indeed,
lots of hiding behind papers. For
it
Thierry.
Is, yeah. It's classic. It's a classic move. So, in terms of just this past game week, I mean, there were some shocking results and also some very interesting performances as well.
Yeah, there were. I mean, the upsets that came in match week 7, I think, were pretty significant and had some a tremendous effect on the table. I think there are essentially 5 points to take away from this Champions League, and sadly, only 4 of them I've really been able to properly summarize in words. I'm grasping for the 5th. I'm like, But the first thing that jumps out at me was these upsets, right? Leading with Manchester City's total gaffe against Bodo Glimt. That was without a doubt one of the most shocking upsets in Champions League history, probably, given given how tiny Bodo is as a club, how massive City are. Bodo's never won a Champions League game, right? They're debutants, as far as I know. Maybe they were like they appeared way back like 15, 16 years ago and something, but we're not counting that, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a fluke. That was the thing I think that everybody was surprised by. Bodo played a very smart, savvy, tactical game and just finished ruthlessly and showed that and for the second week in a row, the world got to notice just how fragile City's foundation can be when met with stiff opposition that could sit in that low block and really hit with the counter.
They did exactly the same things that Michael Carrick's Manchester United did and got a very similar result, right?
Might I say, with like 5% of the spend.
This is true. We'll get on to City in the Premier League.
The Bodo team's wages are a fraction, right? They're a fraction of what City and United spend.
Yeah, they are.
And most of that goes to heating.
Heating, indeed, yes. It gave, you're right, it was Bodo's first win. It's given them a chance to actually get into the playoff positions. They're obviously going to need some favors and some results going for them.
Yeah, and that brings me to the second point, right, which is about the 6-pointers, right, and just what a tough climb the 6-pointers have. And we'll talk more about that on Monday because I'm running projections right now on which of the 6-pointers, and there are 5 of them, have the best chance to actually sneak into the playoff zone.
Yep.
Which then brings you to my third point, which is that 11 is the magic number, right? Just like last year. Yes, it is. If you get 11 points, you're guaranteed into the playoff.
Do you think guaranteed? But then is there goal difference? But there are some who will get 11 and goal difference is going to screw them.
Well,
right?
no, but I mean, the 11 is the magic number, but you could sneak in with 9. There are many scenarios by which 9-pointers will also be able to sneak in, which is what gives hope to the Sixers. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that 11 is, when you're in 11, you're like, whew, okay.
You're safe.
Your hands are shaking.
So you're 11, you're guaranteed, you're in basically, you're in the top 20, inside that 24 cut line, and then you're in there. Okay. And there could be 10 and 9 as well. There is a scenario by which there is a scenario by which lower point teams could sneak in based upon a number of different looks. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Just on that Champions League side of things, I was very, very impressed, and I can't believe I'm actually going to say these words are actually going to come out of my mouth. Real Madrid and Vinicius look very good. They look very good. I know they're against Monaco, so not should have possibly, arguably, the toughest opposition, but Vinicius in particular, I don't know if his management or his mother have had a strong word with him and said, you need to change your attitude and become a better team player. And look at that, 4 assists and then an absolute banger. He definitely seems to be revitalized. So yeah.
And then going back to upsets as well, you have to mention how the Italian clubs and the German clubs completely kind of lost it, right? Atalanta and Inter,
Frankfurt,
both down, right? Yeah. They both lost.
Yeah, Inter, I mean, against Arsenal are flying at the moment. Arsenal are so good.
You can forgive Inter. You have to give Inter a hall pass on this one because they were playing, what is the strongest side right now in the Champions League. And European football, for sure. But Atalanta losing to Bilbao? Ooh, I don't know. That was and in such a late fashion. That was a little eyebrow raising. Dortmund and Bayer Leverkusen, both of whom are traditionally very strong in this competition, both dropped. It's just lots to talk about. About.
Well,
but before that, what do you think? English? Should we go with the Premier League?
Yeah, let's go with the Premier League. Let's get into it. Okay, so we have an interesting game week. So this is game week 23 coming up. Now, we've got a few games that we're going to sort of focus on. But, I mean, first of all, let's just take a moment to just talk about the transfer window. We've been covering this in some of our stories.
There's a transfer window?
Well, exactly, or lack thereof transfer window. It is the quietest transfer window I think I've ever experienced, particularly a January transfer window. I know there have been some really spicy and fun ones. And normally what happens is there's one big move, one big crazy thing happens, and then it triggers a whole bunch of merry-go-round of sort of players moving from club and sort of agents moving their players and sort of getting agents fees. However, all we've had at the moment is Man City seem to be the dominant ones of signing Gay, signing Semenyo. Palace have signed Brennan Johnson from Spurs.
That was a
that's
big one money
another
wise. Has not been big impact wise. So sadly.
Well, we'll get to Palace and Chelsea game. Our two teams sparring off as well, which will be an interesting line-off. But yeah, it just seems like it's a very, very quiet transfer window as well. And I don't know if that's just because a lot of the teams have what they feel they need, or it's just the premiums are too high and it doesn't make sense, and everyone will wait till the summer, particularly with a World Cup summer, with a World Cup year as well. That's also where there's always breakout stars and then big moves as well. So maybe everyone just seems to be hanging on, and it seems to be the case for the leadership teams and the owners of these clubs, particularly with these interim managers that seem to be floating around. Looking at obviously like the likes of Michael Carrick, who's obviously sort of sitting there and has got the gig until the end of the season as well. So yeah, very, very quiet transfer window, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, then again, there are still 10 days left, so let us not abandon hope. These things, well, as you do say, when they do happen, they tend to avalanche, right? There's like one stone moves and then half the mountain moves, falls down. So
I still remember my favorite transfer window. I think it must have been like 2011, the January of 2011, when Chelsea signed Torres. Yeah, we're going back deep. Chelsea signed Torres, and they basically put a British transfer record. They paid like £50 million at the time. Liverpool were set to sign Luis Suarez, but they realized that they couldn't lose Torres because the idea was they were going to partner Suarez up with Torres, and then he left, and then they ended up getting Andy Carroll, and there was basically this massive run. It was very exciting, but doesn't look like it's going to be happening.
Andy
this
Carroll,
dude, he's still playing. Still playing. Yeah, still playing.
Is he still playing?
Still playing, plays in like the French third league or something like that. He's doing it and enjoying it,
Wow.
Or I think he's in Australia. Maybe I stand corrected. But anyway, that's irrelevant. Okay, so let's get into this weekend's fixtures. So let's go chronologically. So we have the first game that we're going to cover today and look at is possibly the worst team in the league with the worst form overall are going against the worst team with the most recent form, which is Manchester City, are hosting Wolves. Wolves, who only have 8 points and 1 win. And then Manchester City, just looking at this, who in their last 5 games have lost 1, drawn 3, won 1, and that's in the league alone. And that's not including, of course, in the Champions League as well, where they've been conceding as well. So this one, again, you'd expect on paper Man City to just steamroll them. But if Wolves have got any sense, you just play a low block and play counter-attacking football here and just go and try and punch them in the face. That's the game plan?
Of course. And you are correct. In a normal universe, this is a win for City 99 times out of 100. But, we might be living in the upside down right now, because I think Wolves actually have a chance. I mean, I'd say that if Wolves were at home, I'd give them an even better chance. The fact that they're at the Etihad makes it, I think, even more challenging. But, I've said it all season long. Wolves are not as bad as their record indicates, right? They are a dangerous team, and they're finally beginning to show their teeth in the competitions. Whether that be a 6-0 shellacking of some, of a third league side, or some steely draws in between. I think City could drop points here. Then again, I also think that Pep has enough say and sway in the locker room, and I think the players are still sometimes a little afraid of him, and he's probably threatening them with genital mutilation if they lose. So, it could, I don't know. I would say the one thing that I will say about this match is do not ignore it, because it could turn out to be another one of those. They say that tragedy runs in threes. Well, this could be City's treble tragedy.
This could be.
Right? This could be it.
Here's a more broader question. I get the feeling that this could be Pep's last season. I think in an ideal world, he'd like to go out on a high and sort of dominate and win the league and say, that's it, I'm done. I just get the feeling that Pep's probably sort of losing a little bit of enthusiasm, because, again, this is the second season where Man City have proverbially shit the bed in the middle of the season. If you remember last season as well, they just went on, they were dominating and they just came off the fact that they won the treble. I know then Rodri got his ACL and he was out, and that seemed to sort of really be a hammer blow, and all of a sudden they moved some players on. But I get the feeling that I don't Man City are just not as scary and as ruthless as they used to be. That is for sure. And
No.
I'm not going to say Pep has lost his mojo. Just sometimes as well, as you know, in any gig, any environment as well, sometimes it's time to move on. And I get the feeling that Pep is probably coming to the end of his time, is my sense. I'm not saying he's going to get fired because of a poor performance, but I just get the feeling he's losing sort of enthusiasm for the project. And again, City stumbling like this is just propping Arsenal up and just making it easier for them to just go and canter home now for the remainder of the season as well.
No, it's very true.
7 points difference. Arsenal are 7 points clear, still only lost 2 games this season, have an incredible defense as well, only conceded 14 goals. It's, Man City aren't going to challenge them, right? I think I'd have more faith in Villa actually challenging them. And yeah, I agree with you. There could be a cup set here. Well, not even a cup set, just a shock upset here, right?
Yeah. No, it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next games then chronologically. The next game after that is the Bournemouth are hosting Liverpool. Now, honestly, I don't know quite what to make of Liverpool here at the moment. If you look at their form, they're sitting in fourth. Yeah. There's all of this negative sort of messaging that Arne Slot's being under review and sort of everyone's not happy with him and all those kind of things. But yet they're sitting in fourth. I know they were dominant champions last season. But yet, if you look at their form, they've just lost. They've drawn their last 4 games in a row in the league. Yeah. And then if you look in the Champions League, they're sitting in 4th place, and they had a pretty convincing win over Marseille 3-0, and then they beat Inter. Admittedly, again, that was not so convincing. Bournemouth started off so well, and it's just shocking to see them down in 15th. I don't think there's any threat of them getting relegated, but now Bournemouth, who have lost Semenyo, got off to an amazing start, and then sort of just the crucible period really didn't do them any favors. They really struggled through that, and they find themselves down in 15th just because that middle of the table is so packed. So what to expect here? Liverpool are away. They've got Salah back. Well,
I mean, this is in a way, this is a battle of 2 teams this is a fixture of 2 teams that are reeling right now.
Yeah.
Neither one is in a particularly strong and dominant position. I mean, Bournemouth's form in the last 10 games is abysmal. They got the 1 win against Spurs, right? And then a great win. But again, that was Semenyo's swan song, right? He scored the 90 plus 5th minute stoppage time winner on that one. Well, they don't have him anymore. So what do? I don't know. They hold on. That's their job right now, is to hold on. So for them, they're looking to draw. I mean, they'd love to win, but they're looking to draw. They want to extend Liverpool's agony, right, of draws for 1 more game. That would be a major victory for everybody down there on the South Coast. So, and I think it's possible they could do it. I do think Liverpool they did look good against Marseille.
They did.
Not perfect, but they held on and they got the business done. And
Florian Wirtz does seem to have come alive and suddenly got his
finally coming into his own. Yes.
Yeah,
and I was very negative on him early in the year. And my son was chastising me, saying, no, he's a good signing. He's just going to need some time to adjust. And I was like, no, he's overpriced, blah, blah. I reluctantly last week had to say to him, you could be right. You could have been right on Wirtz, because he is sort of stretching into his comfort zone. He's growing into that aura that the eye-watering transfer fee gave to him. He's finally getting there. And next year, I think he'll be even better.
Yeah.
So if he has a good game, and it is funny because now it used to be Salah was the barometer for the team. Now I actually think Florian Wirtz is the barometer of the team. Like when Wirtz has a good game and feels comfortable and does his thing and plays freely and with a flowing nature, so does Liverpool.
They tech, yeah.
There's a little bit of a shift there, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a passing of the baton.
Yeah. I think, Ekitike has been a wonderful signing. I mean, it's crazy to think that they've got Alexander Isak, who I don't know if he's injured or if his form is off, or he's just starting on the bench.
Like
he's injured.
seriously injured. He has a knee injury. Yeah.
Oof,
yeah.
Okay.
He's out
All right.
for a few more weeks. Yeah.
That's unfortunate, but I'll tell you who is their player of the season so far has got to be Szoboszlai. He has just been an absolute revelation. Yeah. He has been fantastic. And what's interesting I've noticed is I think against Marseille, they played him in the number 10 position. They played Salah out right. They played Ekitike up front, Szoboszlai in the middle, and then Wirtz on the left. But I've seen him play right back. I've seen him play defensive midfielder as well. I mean,
I think
about
he's played 4 or 5 different positions this season.
All-round utility player, and then just also his free kicks as well are fantastic. I mean, he scored some absolute screamers. And that cheeky one under the wall against Marseille was a wonderful goal.
Under the wall.
It's one embarrassing.
Of those. Oh my God, it is. As much as I laugh at teams that make that poor player lie down on those free kicks, now we know why.
There's a reason why, isn't it? Yeah.
Why.
There is a reason why.
Because everybody knows he likes to go over the top into the corner. Well, guess what, kids? He can also go low into that same corner.
I noticed on the CBS production, Jamie Carragher was espousing the backroom coaching staff, saying they've done their research and they found out and they saw that they don't put a man behind the ball, and well played to them. It's finding those little margins and those little edges. I do feel like I don't want to say Liverpool are sort of like resurgence. They've definitely sort of like they're holding on. Look, they're in 4th place. There's no shame in that. And again, with the money that they spent, I know you can make the argument they should be performing better. This does seem like a rebuild, sort of restructuring season to go in the sort of style of Slot. I think firing Slot would be a little bit rash, and I don't think that's a Liverpool way. I think the ownership will hold on to him and just keep him.
Champions League right now is the prize.
Yes,
that's their
minimum
prize. Champions League and that money is what they're playing for.
Yeah, minimum 100%. Requirements. Yeah, I do feel though this game has a draw all over it. I can just see, particularly Liverpool's form in the league, just with those draws as well. I smell a draw. Okay, moving on to the next game. So we're saving the best one for the middle for the body of the show. The mighty Crystal Palace, supported by yourself, Qooligan, against probably the most bland team in the league right now, against my beloved Chelsea. This is an interesting one because Chelsea, that game against Paphos was the flattest game I've ever seen. It got to the point where I had it on the background. I was looking forward to seeing it. I cleared my calendar, made sure I had no calls. And after about 20 minutes, I was like, this is the most boring game ever. I actually switched over and started watching the Galazzo show because, oh my goodness.
Wow. I can't believe that you're actually admitting that you voluntarily switched over to the Galazzo show.
Yeah, go ran into Nico Cantor's arms. Yes, it was that is what Liam Rossignol is doing. Let's talk Chelsea and then we'll talk about Palace quickly. But he's had 4 games now in 4 different competitions. So from the manager's perspective, it is a dream gig, right? You've got this team full of wonderful young kids who've got a whole bunch of potential, and his style of play seems to be, instead of playing on the wings, which used to be the Maresca way, he wants to play everything through the middle, and he just seems to keep running into traffic. And I'm still yet to be sort of convinced that they've had 1 loss, 3 wins. The 3 wins have been okay. They've not been sort of compelling or sort of rip roaring. Give him the benefit of the doubt. He's still trying to get his ideas across, and he's got a game every 3 games, so he doesn't have huge amounts of sort of runway to sort of express his ideas and sort of put them in. I do feel though Chelsea sitting in 6th all of a sudden are starting to pick up some momentum. So I hope Chelsea win this one. However, then you look over the other side of this and you see Crystal Palace. And I mean, if we just wind back the clock 6 months, when Palace not only had won the FA Cup, but also won then the Community Shield, Palace were on an absolute high. Oliver Glasner, amazing. Eze in the team, amazing. Gay, everyone after him as well. And now you look at it, and it's just in the short period of the last 6 months, Palace have just fallen, disintegrated, and are coming apart at the seams. And it is the definition, in my opinion, of second season syndrome. I'm not trying to pile on Palace because I really do think it's a wonderful story.
It is. You say second season syndrome. I call it the Icarus effect. It is one of those things where you're right. They were on a high, from 0 trophies in 150 years to lifting 2 in 1 year is awesome. They were an absolute machine. They were 19 games undefeated. Now they're no wins in the last 11. And Interestingly, Palace does, as a club, tend to go on streaks. Good streaks, bad streaks. In years past, it was we start rough, finish strong. Seems to be the opposite this year.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think we're in danger of relegation. I think we did have too strong of a start, and we're too high up in the table in terms of points. That said, the bleeding has to be staunched, and a wound like Gahey's is tough. The analogy is they woke up in a motel bathtub, full of ice, with their kidney taken out, right? And now Matets is making bones that he wants to go, so that's one of their feet. There's rumors that Wharton, right, is being approached, and and you go, right. Firstly, Crystal Palace isn't a corpse, so stop trying to go in and steal all the parts. But I also think, to be perfectly fair, it is somewhat self-imposed. The club did not do enough in the summer to shore up its roster. And Glasner complained about it, and as a result, they've lost Glasner. And
he came out and did say, he's categorically said, I'm leaving at the end of the season.
No, in fact, not only did he say that, apparently the decision was made back in September, and he just didn't want to say it publicly, which I thought was that.
And that was it. He didn't renew his contract, and they made him a few offers as well. And
that is correct. He just didn't renew his contract, and that much was known. But he also said that was it. I made my mind up. Now he's going to see out the rest of the season.
Honorable
class move.
Yeah.
We like it. It's great. But how much of Crystal Palace will be left come May? I don't know. And how much will be left at the end of the summer, back in August, when we're starting up with the next season? It might be a completely different team. Chelsea's a tough opponent under these circumstances. I will say this. Out of the 11 games that they have lost, Palace have never rolled over. They have never stopped competing. They have never, there have been some games where they got beat 3-0 and it didn't look good, but they have, as a club, continued to push, to fight, to try and score goals, to try and equalize, to try and improve. So I like that about them. I like the character, even if I don't like the results. So I'd say for Chelsea, be wary. The good news for Chelsea is Selhurst Park has not been a particularly good place for Palace to play. Their home form is not good. So I think this is likely a Chelsea win, but I just hope that Palace at least make a good game out of it and put some scare. Maybe make Liam stay in his shorts a little bit because of nervousness, but we'll see what happens.
Can I ask, now that Gahey's moved on and is official, again, I just don't understand the sort of the decision-making framework. If you're Palace's leadership team as well, you know that Gahey's on the end of his contract, right? Or he's got 1 year to go. Sell him, take the money, and find the replacement. And they were like, we'll hold on to him. They fought. He was close to going to Liverpool. Didn't quite work out for him. And then and then I know obviously there's talk of all of these, like Mateta leaving. Obviously they lost Eze at the beginning of the season as well. So who have they brought in as supplements and replacements? Like, what, again, this is probably maybe sort of
the only person that they got. No, the only person that they got during the transfer window. There were two people that they purchased in the transfer window last summer. One of the fewest of any team. And that was Walter Benitez, their backup goalkeeper, and Borna Sorsa, a Croatian wingback, who, to be perfectly fair, has done crap all. He's not fit into the system. He's the guy that they leaned on when Daniel Munoz went out with the knee injury.
Okay.
Right. And when Munoz went out, Palace lost a lot of their firepower. They were like, all right, Borna, you're in. And Borna has proven to be not even a shadow of Munoz. So that is one of those things you're like, okay, what are they going to do?
You've got to
don't
empathize
have
with Glasner, right? Yeah, you've got to empathize with Glasner then, right? Like, guys, like, I've did this and I want to keep going and my objective is to keep growing and developing, and you're just asset stripping us and not even trying to replace them by the sounds of it. Maybe that's not fair. Maybe
Crystal
they are
Palace
trying,
have
just couldn't
6
get deals over the line.
defenders on the roster right now. That's it.
Oof, oof, oof.
One of them, Nathaniel Klein, is like
Yeah.
85 years old and,
He's
you know,
ex-Liverpool,
and
yeah.
is suffering from day-to-day injuries and things. The other one, you know, is a young kid named Caleb Forfa. And I mean, he's out. We've got Lacroix, Richards, and Canvo, JD Canvo, who's 19 years old, for Christ's sake. Good signing, right? Good signing.
Needs more time.
But
Well,
he
more
was
time.
not a replacement for Gahey, right?
Yeah.
You know, but guess what? Now he has to be. And then, of course, Chadi Riyad is now back, which is good. He was out earlier with an injury. So they're going to try.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're going to succeed.
Yeah, you got to empathize with Glasner why he'd want to move then, why he just got frustrated and said, okay, I'm going to...
But I will also say this. If Chelsea don't play aggressively, if they try to go up the middle, they're not going to succeed against Palace. Palace is traditionally very tough up the middle. They're going to have to use lateral play to beat them.
This is in lies why they're the most flat team to watch, and they're not that entertaining, right? Because they keep going into the middle and just getting stuck in traffic as well. So okay, well we'll be messaging
by the way,
with each other.
Ismail Sarr is back from Senegal, so
there we go. Oh well, that's something. That's something. Well, let's hope that goes well. Okay, we've got 2 more games that we're going to cover. So finally, final 2: Newcastle then play Villa. Newcastle, that is actually a good one. Villa form seems to be wobbling a little bit. Last 2 Premier League games they've drawn and lost.
They're both
maybe
shaky.
A little bit of a wobble.
They're both shaky.
And Newcastle, like, they're killing it in the Champions League, but
in the league
they just can't get it together.
I was like,
by the
I watched Newcastle in the Champions League and I go, where is this? Where is this on weekends?
Yeah.
Where is this? Where is this in England? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me.
What's interesting is you've got Villa, who on the away form, they are the 3rd best team in the league, right? They've played 11, won 5, drawn 3, lost 3. And then if you look at the home form, Newcastle's home form is also pretty good as well. So there's going to be actually quite a good match because they're both
here we are saying that Villa's shaky. They have lost 2 games in their last 10. That's it. And one of them was against Arsenal.
That's fair.
I think we're going off the fact that Everton stymied them, right? We're saying, ooh, Everton. They lost to Everton. Fine. Is that embarrassing? I don't think so. It's not like Everton's, they're not Wolves.
They're a respectable team. Yeah, respectable team.
They're not Wolves.
Mid-table team. Yeah.
And, and I guess in a way they got their revenge because now Grealish is out probably for the rest of the season with an ankle break as a result of it, right? So,
Send it back to City and keep the wages, yeah.
So listen, if I had to pick a team, I'd say Villa's going to win, right? Because I do think Villa is a stronger team. I think they're a more effective team. I think their talent pool is slightly stronger than Newcastle. But then again, if Voltemata suddenly wakes up and decides he wants to play the game again, he could sneak in 1 or 2.
Yeah. This game has potential for goals and it could actually be a very, very entertaining game.
It really could be. Or it
could
just be the dullest slog.
It could be. We'll find out. And then final game of the game that we're going to cover. It's not the main featured match, but it should be because it is Arsenal against Manchester United.
This is a main featured match. It's got its own designated time slot.
It's got its own time on Sunday
on NBC. So it's getting all the applause and plaudits that it should. Because this is a match. And if you had put this fixture in front of me 6 weeks ago, I would have just laughed. I would have laughed deep belly laughs and would have watched this waiting for the moment for United to completely crumble. Something tells me that's not going to be the same way. It's not going to happen this time.
Finally, they've got away from that goddamn 3-4-3 system that Amorim was playing that I just didn't make sense that he was so married to. And then Carrick seems to have gone back to the traditional 4-4-2 Man United way of we'll hit you on the counter and well, they certainly did that against City.
I just think that for whatever reason, whether it's Carrick, whether it's the players suddenly saying, we're Manchester fucking United here. What the hell? This has to stop. Something has happened. And they seem to have in their own heads clicked and said, no more.
They've got the bounce, right?
I'm excited to see. Maybe it is. I'm excited to see what this game has the greatest potential for drama, in my opinion. Maybe not goals, maybe not, but crunching tackles, check. Last minute goals, hopefully,
yes,
check.
It's gonna,
right?
It's gonna.
It's Fergie times back, maybe. Come on,
the ghost of Ferguson remains. It does. What I will say is, if Arsenal do win this, there's a strong possibility that I could see City drawing against Wolves, picking up one, and then I can see if Arsenal win this, it's got to be. You got to say nailed on Premier League champions. It's got to be. I know it's too early, but
it's too much of a gap. It's a virtual lock.
Yeah,
an Arsenal win and a City draw loss makes it almost a virtual loss. Although I will say this: if Villa win convincingly, they're still in the hunt.
Yeah, they are.
They're still in the hunt.
Arsenal they seem to
and
be.
And it will come down to the
holding
next remaining Villa Arsenal fixture. That'll be the 6-pointer that determines.
Indeed. Wonderful. Well, Qooligan, I think that brings us up on time as well. So we will be back on Monday with a Champions League Match Week 8 special. So we'll be covering that as well. And until then, obviously, let's keep it civil, but it's between the Palace and the Chelsea rivalry. And
we'll keep it civil, at least until Monday.
Should be fun. Wonderful. All right. Well, guys, as always, hooligan-soccer.com. Please go and follow, go check it out as well. Sign up. There's a newsletter. Follow us on socials, follow, subscribe, all those wonderful things. We are going to wrap it up and carry on with our days. So, Qooligan, as always, Peace. Thank you very much. Take care.